Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Kleiber, seconded Councillor Link. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. We have no addendums to the agenda for this evening. Our invocation, I am not reading the invocation for this evening, and Ms. Shaw will be preparing an administrative report to Council for the Committee of the Whole meeting regarding the Supreme Court decision regarding prayers before meetings and why we need to change our invocation process. So for now, I'm not going to read the invocation, and we'll have an administrative report at our next council meeting, our Committee of the Whole, for discussion. All right, 7.1, we've got confirmation of the Committee of the Whole meeting minutes of January 12th. Be it resolved that the minutes of the Committee of the Whole of Council held on January 12th, 2021 be approved. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Link, seconded Councillor Kleiber. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. 7.2, we have our regular meeting of January 14th. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on January 14th, 2021 be approved. Can I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bichetti, seconded Councillor Link. Any comments, questions for discussion? Councillor Link, go ahead. Oh, you're still on mute, Councillor Link.
Realize that just as you said that. Sorry. Yeah, I have comments or questions about the first two items. One is item 7.5. Regarding the special meeting of December 17th. Be it resolved that the minutes of the special meeting of the council held on December 17th, 2020 be approved. I think we should need as amended, because remember we had the resolution to keep the rink closed, and it was around that. Yes. So it should read as amended. Is that okay?
Ms. Shaw, I'm just going to refer that to you just on the changes that we made with the rink, clarifying that it wasn't carried.
Right. The draft minutes that were presented were corrected. So the resolution can read to whatever council's preference is. The minutes themselves are corrected with the defeated resolution.
Well, okay, whatever. The next question I have was about item 10.1. I clearly recall I abstained, and it is not, the fact that I was abstained was not recorded.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, we had a discussion.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Shaw, if we could amend those minutes to read that Councillor Link abstained on accounts 10.1.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That correction will be made.
And I'm going to mention something. I checked our procedural bylaw, the procedures bylaw, because I needed to reread that part about the abstentions. And I think everybody needs to read the section 13.5, because I don't think section 13.5 in our procedures bylaw is as the majority of council intended.
Okay.
It needs to be exhumed, I guess.
Okay, I will. We'll have Ms. Shaw look at that and see if it's worded as intended with council discussion when we talked about the procedural. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kleiber, go ahead.
Also on the variances, I'm listed as absent. But I did recuse myself from that. So that isn't in the minutes that I recused myself.
Yeah, I think it is.
Where?
Okay,
Because on the variance, it shows me as absent.
Yeah, it's on the wrong column.
No, it is the correct column. Councillor Kleiber was absent from the vote, and we should have a pre-note just above 5.4. You'll see that we've noted Councillor Kleiber declared a perceived conflict of interest and left the meeting. And there's a post note
Okay, I see it
following
now.
signing when you returned.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. I just want to make sure. I mean, there was like 3 different variances or 4 different variances here. I don't know. So I'm trying to find it all. Thank you very much.
any other comments, questions on the minutes of January 14th? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. Down to 10.1, we have accounts. Be it resolved that the vouchers 41772 to 41840 as listed and totaling $460,825.98, and December Visa payment totaling $16,493.12 be approved as presented. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Bichetti. Any discussion on the accounts? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. We are down to no reports. 14, communication. 14.1, we have the City of Winnipeg, Winnipeg Metro Region Focus 2050 Initiative and Bill 37. So that's on the agenda for information, and everybody's had an opportunity to look at that. Mayor Bowman released a press release talking about a motion that he brought to his EPC for review and is bringing to his council meeting tonight in the City of Winnipeg, requesting that, and I'm just going to pull that up here, requesting that that councils across Manitoba have an opportunity to look at and approve draft plan 2050 before it goes to the province as the document for Bill 37, and that residents in our communities also have an opportunity to review that draft document that will affect planning in our communities for the next 30 years, infrastructure. It is a 30-year plan covering, as I said, infrastructure, land use, planning, development in all of our communities. So as you are aware, we released a media statement supporting Mayor Bowman in wanting to have our councils receive that information. And we have this on here as information for tonight. But I would like council to consider the option of us approving a similar resolution. And with Lainey's help, with Ms. Shaw's help, we've adapted the City of Winnipeg's resolution for council to consider. So if you don't mind, I can read that and we can discuss. Councillor Kleiber, go ahead.
I'd rather not do a resolution unless, like, we're not even participating in Winnipeg Metro right now. So how can we have a resolution similar to them when we're not even participating?
I'm going to read it, but not as reading a resolution. And so then if council wants to see us go forward with that, fine. If you don't want this resolution, then we won't. So I'm not going to read it and call for the question. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it out just to see what council thinks of a similar resolution. And if we don't want to move forward with the resolution, that's fine. If we want to move forward and vote on the resolution, that's fine too. I'm okay.
I'm just wondering if legally we can move forward because we've rescinded our participation. So sending a resolution to someone when we're not participating just sort of seems legally, I don't know. Have we, and I guess the question then becomes, where are we going with the whole thing, and what has been resolved, I guess, has to be discussed too, possibly in camera.
Yeah.
So do we want to maybe do this in camera?
This part, so our suspension is, we're suspended, we haven't pulled out of it, so we're suspended, we're not attending meetings or participating. The Plan 2050 will still impact us, and the resolution is also tied around Bill 37, because this will become the regional bylaw under Bill 37. So, you know, regardless of whether or not we are sitting at the table for Metro, when this plan is completed, it will go to the province for approval and be part of Bill 37 guiding our planning for the entire Metro region. So whether we're at the table or not. So
So I
it's
guess
it should still come to us.
yeah, so who is going to send it to us? Would it be Winnipeg Metro that would send it to us?
They should before a board
Okay.
approves it. And that's what the resolution is really just asking,
So,
that it should. Yes.
so then I guess I'll just jump to the next part of that is if Winnipeg Metro is sending it to it, then we can't really comment on it at all or give our input because we're not participating.
Well, the issue is that even though we have suspended our participation on the Winnipeg Metro Region Board, under legislation, we are still part of the capital region. We are still part of the Metro region. So while we've suspended our participation on the board because of issues and concerns that we're having as a council, any decisions made out of that and Plan 2050 going forward to the province, we are still legislatively part of the Metro region. So
Okay, well, I guess it's a sort of a strange point for me because I understand that we're legislated to be in it, but if we've withdrawn our participation, then putting a resolution that we're going to have input in it doesn't make, so one of the two doesn't make sense to me. If we're suspended our participation, but we're still going to have input, then really our suspending our participation doesn't mean much. Because what you're saying is we're legislated anyway, so we can't leave. So then I guess the suspension that we did really doesn't mean too much. That's kind of what you're saying.
part of the reason that we've
Yes.
suspended our participation is because I have a problem with you as counselors having no say in that process. So documents and plans that are going to impact our municipality for the next 30 years, I am supposed to vote on as a board member without your say. And I have a concern about that. And Mayor Bowman has a concern about that. And City of Selkirk Mayor has a concern about that. Niverville has a concern about that. So I think that it's important that if we're going to have a plan for our community that's going to impact us for the next 30 years about land use, if the Metro Region Group believes that heavy industrial is good for our community, but we have a concern about that and our residents have a concern about that. But hey, it's close to Centerport and this should work for you guys. I don't believe a plan should be imposed on my council or my community without your input and without the input of our residents. And I really believe, and thankfully Bowman showed leadership. It was part of why we suspended our participation, that and some governance concerns. That if you don't get a say in that and I'm expected to vote on behalf of you and all of our residents about the future of West St. Paul for the next 30 years, I have a problem with that. That should come to our table. And I'm essentially fighting for you to have input on behalf of our residents. And I want that plan to come to our residents as a draft in some form or another online for residents to view before it goes to the province and it's stamped as a bylaw guiding all planning infrastructure for the next 30 years. I think it is going to have a significant impact. And so if the regional Metro Board decides that West St. Paul is a great place for heavy industrial in our new business parks across from people who live on Pipeline and they make that decision, we can turn those decisions down at a local level and they'll be overturned by a municipal board possibly because of what is consistent with the regional plan coming out. I don't believe as the board member, and part of why I wanted to suspend our participation is because I believe my council and my residents should have a voice in that process. I don't believe I should be on that board making that decision as a board member. And Bowman, Mayor Bowman in the city of Winnipeg, they're discussing this tonight because he believes his council should have a voice in that and not just one or two board members. Councillor Kleiber and then Councillor Bichetti, I saw your hand up as well.
Yeah, I understand that. I know, did council get, did we all get that letter or from WMR kind of outlining what's going on. Yeah, so
Yep.
yeah, so I thought that in that letter they had said that it was going to come back to each individual council. That's
don't
sort
have-
of the case.
We don't have confirmation of that yet. No. No. And I've asked that those plans be voted on by council. So we vote on whether we accept secondary plans and have always had input in the planning in our community.
Mhm.
And we believe there should be a vote of council on that.
I don't disagree with you.
Yep.
I guess I don't disagree with you on this point at all, but I guess from what I understand, our Plan 2050 is a recommendation to Bill 37. We should put these recommendations in, but my understanding is the province, they can do whatever they want, right? So they could come back and say, nope, you're not. We're going to do it this way. Is that fair statement to make, Mayor Christian? They could just do whatever they want, really, in the end.
The minister's comments on this was, as a provincial government, we assume that you're collaborating and discussing and developing this plan amongst yourselves. And so I don't believe that plan should just be hashed out by, 18 people at a table. I believe that plan should come back to the councils, and other councils are sharing that concern too. So if we don't want to, and that's part of why we suspended our participation, because I think you guys should have a say in that. I don't think you should get the plan after it's approved and say, I have concerns about this. I really don't think heavy industrial should go there. Oh, well, I really think.
No, I agree.
Yeah, we need to have a
reality of. I'm just a little confused by us saying that we're suspending it and then we are actually participating. And you're saying that we can't really suspend, we can't really remove our participation because we're legislated that way. So I'm a little confused by this, but I'll just give the floor to someone else.
Thank you. Councillor Bichetti, then Councillor Link and Councillor Price. Go ahead, Councillor Bichetti.
Okay, I'm just going to say, I agree, we can put a resolution in. If we suspended ourselves, they're still sending us information. And this is something that affects us even after we come out of our suspension. So to turn around and say we shouldn't do this, I think it's wrong. We still have to put our input in, even though we don't go to the board meetings. So it's still putting our information in there, and the province will see our resolution in there with the rest of them. So that's all I got to say.
I didn't say it was wrong, Councillor Bichetti. I just said I'm a little confused by it. Thanks, though.
Councillor Link, go ahead.
Well, I appreciate all your comments, Mayor Christian, but I still believe I don't know enough. I found today a Planning Amendment Act, City of Winnipeg Charter, Bill 37, Frequently Asked Questions. And this was published, updated on November 13th. And I just had not an opportunity to read it thoroughly, but it was published on November the 13th, and it appears as if on these frequently asked questions, some of Mayor, I may be wrong on this, but it looked like some of Mayor Bowman's questions were addressed. I didn't get a chance, like I say, I read it, just glanced at it, and I haven't read it thoroughly nor finished it, but it looks like there's a lot of information that would benefit. Like I had not heard until that night that we made the resolution that you recommended that we suspend. I didn't even know that anything about that there was a Bill 37, that 48 had been amended. I don't know. I missed the information somehow. And anyway, I just don't feel comfortable. I didn't come prepared for a resolution tonight. I'm just not comfortable making a vote.
Thank you, Councillor Link. Councillor Prague, go ahead. Oh, you're still on mute.
My view on this, the mayor is our representative at this board. And if they place a gag order on her not to consult with your councillors, then she have all right to retaliate and suspend, because it's unfair for her alone to sit there and know the information, and the information is not released to us as councillors, because we as a council have to decide where we go. And saying that we are still in the capital region, doing this resolution makes sense, because we're still part of the region. And whether they're seeing this why we stepped out because of the gag order and they want meetings, so there's an effort put in. Other municipalities are coming to the same conclusion that the gag order is on, and they don't want that. They want their councillor to be informed. And at least putting the resolution forward, we have a foot in the door. And our being in the capital region, that's our resolution. And furthermore to that, the province will have to consider, is not as black and white, what they say, oh, this is what we have and that's it. It has to go to consultation and everybody have an input in it, whether they agree or disagree with it. Then the final document will come out. That's my piece in it.
Thank you, Councillor Prague. Yeah, it puts us in a very difficult position, because either we're not talking about things or we're supposed to share that secondhand. So I agree with you, Councillor Link, that we're not getting the information because it's not available for all of us to review. And that's what I want to see. And Councillor Prague, I absolutely agree with your comments. Part of why I stand fully behind our decision to suspend our participation. We work well with our neighbors. We have great collaboration. We have a great servicing agreement with the City of Winnipeg. We are partners with Headingley and the Cartier Regional Water Co-op as where we get our water. So we certainly know how to play well in the sandbox. We have a great relationship with our neighbors. What is concerning to me is to go to meetings and have resolutions that are brought forward to say, I would like my council to be part of this. I'd like them to be informed. I'd like them to vote on a plan that comes out that will impact our municipality for decades, and to have those turned down. So because of our suspended participation, Selkirk submitted a letter that they were not happy with how that process was going. The RM of Headingley submitted a letter to that board saying we're not happy with the consultation process. And now the City of Winnipeg has stood up and said everyone should be consulted in this. So change comes about, and positive change, to make sure that there's inclusive and positive decision making, and that's what we're asking for. Councillor Bichetti, you had your hand up, and then I can read this to council, and we don't have to have a resolution, or we can. It can be up to council. Go ahead, Councillor Bichetti.
No, that's all I was going to say. Can we hear the resolution and then know if there's decision after that?
So this was drafted after the City of Winnipeg's motion that's come forward to their EPC and that they're deciding on tonight. So it's just adapted to our municipality. Whereas Bill 37, the Planning Amendment and City of Winnipeg Charter Amendment Act, proposes significant changes to the land use planning appeal process and establishes a capital planning region for the Metro region. And whereas a key aspect of Bill 37 is a requirement for the Winnipeg Metro region to adopt a regional plan for at least a 30-year time span. And whereas the Regional Plan 2050 has not yet been publicly released. And whereas Plan 2050 will be given historic weight and authority with the anticipated passage of Bill 37 in the spring of 2021. And whereas Bill 37 does not currently require the municipal councils in the Winnipeg Metro region to review and approve Plan 2050 before it is sent to the province of Manitoba for review. And whereas in the interest of openness and transparency, the Winnipeg Metro region should publicly release Plan 2050 once it is drafted and allow all municipal councils in the Winnipeg Metro region an opportunity to review and formally approve draft Plan 2050 before the Winnipeg Metro region sends it to the province of Manitoba for consideration. And whereas other Winnipeg Metro region municipalities, including the cities of Winnipeg and Selkirk, have publicly endorsed making Plan 2050 making it public, and allowing the Winnipeg Metro region municipal councils to consider and formally approve it before the province reviews it. And whereas Bill 37 has been amended from its predecessor, Bill 48, with potential implications for residents and businesses in the rural municipality of West St. Paul. And whereas it is appropriate for the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul to receive a fulsome report on Bill 37 that identifies major changes from its predecessor and any aspects of Bill 37 that may require formal direction or input from Council. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul requests that the Winnipeg Metro Region publicly release draft 2050 and allow all municipal councils in the Winnipeg Metro Region an opportunity to review and formally approve draft plan 2050 before the Winnipeg Metro Region sends it to the province of Manitoba for their consideration. And further be it resolved that administration be directed to report back to council within 60 days with a report on Bill 37 that identifies major changes from its predecessor, Bill 48, and any aspects of Bill 37 that may require formal direction or input from the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul. So we can go around the table and see if people are agreeable. Councillor Bichetti, I'll start with you.
I'm prepared to move that because it says exactly what all we're asking them is that we want the input before it goes to the province.
Thank you. Councillor Prague? Oh, you're on mute.
I agree with Councillor Bussetti's comments there. I'll go along with it.
Thank you. Councillor Link, your thoughts on the resolution?
Well, it's a very long resolution and I am not comfortable having a long resolution like that read out. I'd like to be able to look at it more closely and I would like to compare it with what is in this frequently asked questions document that was published, updated November 13th.
Okay.
And there seems to be, like I say in here, like I haven't had a chance yet to look at it. If I'd known this discussion was going to come up. I'm sorry, I'm a little cautious.
Thank you. Councillor Kleiber?
Yeah, I have to agree with Councillor Link. I can't see the resolution. I've heard you read it out, but I don't really know what's in it. And I feel like I'm voting on something pretty blind. So I would have to abstain from this vote because I just don't have it in front of me to look at. I don't necessarily disagree with our discussion, but I would rather table it to another meeting so I can have a look at the resolution. That's all.
Thank you. Councillor Bichetti, what are your thoughts in voting on it tonight or tabling it to a future meeting?
Well, looking at it, it's right there. The city of Winnipeg basically changing the names and it's saying exactly the same thing as the mayor said it was. It's all right there.
So you have that in front of you? You have
names.
the resolution that Mayor Christian read in front of you?
No, I have the one from the city of Winnipeg that basically is changing the names, taking city of Winnipeg out, adding West St. Paul in it, as the mayor said. So if we've had the resolution
So,
here.
I guess then I would say this is that we got like what, 2 minutes notice on this, so I have to digest it.
No, that's been in our package the whole time, the city of Winnipeg resolution.
Yes, you're right, it's been in our package, but nobody said, oh, guess what, we're gonna do the same resolution. Go. So we're kind of getting this last minute here.
Okay, so I have two that are no. Councillor Bichetti, you're okay to move forward on that tonight? Okay. Councillor Prague, are you okay to move forward on this tonight or table?
I agree with the other two councillors, Councillor Link and Councillor Kleiber. They don't have the resolution in front of them. They just last minute they saw it. And it's only fair for both of them to have a look at it. And we can table it, or if this can be sent out and we take a recess and they get it, then we can put it on later on in the meeting, if that's acceptable for Councillor Link and Councillor Kleiber. Have a look at it.
Sure, that might be a good idea, Councillor Prague. We've got the resolution from the city of Winnipeg that was in the package. And if we could send out this one, is that possible? Ms. Shaw, for you to send out the resolution to councillors now just so they have it in writing and see it, or to pull it up on the screen. And so we'll double check.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I could share the resolution if you like.
Sure. Yeah, that would be great. Councillor Link?
I'm sorry, but I want to sit down with it and I want to compare it with these frequently asked questions. I'm going to, if we table it, that's fine. If we take a vote tonight, I'll have to be abstaining because I just do not feel that I have enough information. And if that's unacceptable, well, then I will abstain.
Nobody's saying it's unacceptable. We're just trying to talk about it. So the therefore be it resolved is just that council, all councils of the Metro region have an opportunity to review and formally approve the draft. So whatever is on the frequently asked questions of the City of Winnipeg, does our council want to see and approve the draft of Plan 2050 before it is sent to the province? So regardless of the frequently asked questions or the information that's currently available on websites and out there, do you want to see Plan 2050 and vote on it? Or do you want your mayor to vote on it as a board member if our suspended participation is if we deal with that issue? So the issue at hand is, does my council want input on Plan 2050? Do you want to vote on the draft? That's what this resolution is saying.
Mayor Christian, may I ask a question? What is the mandate of Metro? What is the agreement with board members in terms of representing their councils and their right to represent their councils? What does Metro say about that when you joined?
When we're at the Metro table, we're to vote in the best interest of the Metro region. So I can come back and get feedback from you, but as a member of that board, I am to vote in what is in the best interest of the Metro region. What I would like as mayor of West St. Paul is for you to have input on what's in the best interest of our municipality. And so that Plan 2050 may be great for the region, and having heavy industrial near Centerport might be a wonderful idea for the region. Is it wonderful for us? Does it fit with our strategic plan? Does it meet the needs of our residents? And when I'm sitting on that board, I am to think of what is in the best interest of the board. I want my council to have a say. I want it to come back to our table and for you to say through the lens of a councillor from West St. Paul, is this a good fit for our community? And I believe that it's important that other mayors are asking that same question on behalf of their councillors. I'm fighting for your input.
Well, then this should have been an item, a resolution that we saw on this agenda, and some information that we should have perhaps had access to in terms of background. I'm sorry, I'm still uncomfortable.
And you know, some of it is last minute because these are motions. This is a motion being passed tonight by the City of Winnipeg. So I can't predict when their motions are coming. And so I understand, ideally, we'd like to have lots of information and lots of notice. At the end of the day, the resolution is about making sure you guys have input. Councillor Prague, then Councillor Kleiber. Go ahead, Councillor Prague. There's the resolution. Oh, you're still on mute, Councillor Prague.
I just saw it going up. That's all I wanted to know. Give us about a few minutes to read it through.
Okay, perfect.
So what you're saying, Mayor Christian, is that you want council to give you advice on every decision then at WMR?
No, I think something this significant that impacts our community for 30 years, that council should have input. If you don't want any input on behalf of West St. Paul, we don't pass the resolution. If you're okay with not, then we're okay.
But please don't speak for me. I didn't say anything yet. What I'm hearing from you is that you're not comfortable making this decision, that you want council to give you their support for making this decision, or we're supposed to discuss it. I guess my question is, I don't need a resolution for that. I would think that before a decision is made, and as we know, Plan 2050 has been going on for a while, right? I mean, we've known about Bill 37 or Bill 48 for a number of months now. We've already had that discussion about, you sent us the bills, you asked us what we thought, we told you what we thought. So I find this kind of redundant in a way because we've already given you input. I would assume that before a decision is made that you would do the same thing that you've been doing all the way along, that you would come back to us and say, okay, here's what it is. What do you guys think? And then you go back and you cast your vote. That's been happening. So I'm not sure why there's a rush. I'm not sure what the City of Winnipeg, I don't think we can forecast what they're going to vote tonight. I don't know what they're going to vote. They're in a meeting. And I'm just wondering if this is really necessary because we're doing this already. You've already conferred with us on a number of occasions. So I don't know if we need a resolution really. Doesn't look like it to me. I think we're doing this. Why do we need a resolution? Who is this resolution going to be sent to? Is it a resolution so we make a point to someone? I'm not sure.
I appreciate the comments, Councillor Kleiber, and I appreciate your confidence in me and the compliments. I am a transparent leader. I have brought everything back to this group, and I appreciate the confidence that you have in me in the decision making at the Metro region and on the board. But I believe that council should be making a vote on it. I believe something this significant should be voted on. So in the same way that secondary plans and subdivisions and variances come to us, and the mayor's not making those decisions on their own, that's a council decision for what's best for our community. The document that's coming out, and we've had great discussions on Bill 48 and great council feedback on that I've been able to take forward, and we've been able to have good discussions with other communities on, and all your feedback's been valuable from council. What we haven't seen is draft 2050. We've participated in webinars, and I've asked for those webinars to be available on the website for you all to watch, and they're not. So there's a process going on of consultation, and we have concerns about, is it really consultation or is it consultants telling us what the plan's going to be? And how does it get back to you for input when I don't see all that information myself? How do we say that this is something that's been approved by municipalities and going to the province when you haven't had that input? If there's council members that don't want to have input, and I appreciate the trust that you're placing in me to make those decisions, but land use planning, infrastructure for the future, for the next 30 years, I really believe that that is something so significant that you all should have input, and it should be reviewed. And I should be going back to the board with a vote saying, you know, my council was supportive of this. My council is divided. 3 were supportive, 2 are not. They should know where we stand on that. And to start off and have a document guiding our whole region, over 1 million people, it should be endorsed and supported by the municipalities. This is going to have a big impact. And Bill 37 has significant implications for the autonomy of our municipality and our decision-making, cost implications. And those are discussions I believe that we should have as a council. I appreciate the trust you place in me, but I want that to come back to the table. Councillor Prague, go ahead.
My view on this thing is we have to have West St. Paul and have to play a big impact, would be impacted very seriously if we don't partake, especially for the next 30 years. We have a lot of land use, things like that. And we should have a say with the province or other municipalities how this have to be done. Share our shared experiences together. And if we have a resolution making it strong, yes, our council wants this, and wants the draft of Bill 2050, give it to them to have a look at it. So at least they know, yes, we are interested, we want to be part of it, we want to have a say in West St. Paul for our residents, etc. So I think a resolution is great to go forward on this.
Thank you, Councillor Prague. Councillor Bichetti, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Can Ms. Shaw just scroll to the next page on here? Just we see one page, so thank you.
Thank you. This is, we're supportive of a regional plan. We want to work with our neighbors. I think it makes it stronger. The work that the Metro Region Group has been doing for months is good work. We just want to be able to all have input on that. It's not criticizing the plan. We don't know the plan. We don't have the draft plan. It's just wanting to make sure that my council and other councils are included in that process. And it'll make it stronger, whatever goes to the province, because that is inevitable. Bill 37 is happening. It should be welcomed, and the Metro Region Group should welcome that, hey, this plan was endorsed by all the municipalities who are participants, or, you know, the municipality of West St. Paul raised a couple of concerns because they're experienced in development and they understand, or the city of Winnipeg raised some concerns that are only going to make that document better and stronger for our communities. So there's certainly no ill intent in wanting to make sure that our councils have input. It's how do we move forward in a positive way. Go ahead, Councillor Kleiber.
Mayor Christian, I just want to be clear. We already have input in everything you do at WMR. You brought that to the table. We've had discussions on it. So let's be clear. We already do this with you. It's not that we don't have input. We have had quite a bit of input into Bill 37. We've done that. This resolution is really kind of strange to me because I'm reading it and the resolution is the city of Winnipeg. And then at the very end, it says it's appropriate for the council of West St. Paul. Now, let me ask you a question. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you have brought this up kind of quickly and without notice to us. So have you indicated to Mayor Bowman that we are going to support his resolution? And is that why we're doing this?
No, we've told Mayor Bowman that we suspended our participation in October and that we had similar concerns and that our council was working to resolve those concerns and that we would also like to see a transparent and inclusive process. If
So
council
why is this resolution then all city of Winnipeg until the second last paragraph? It's very
and as I said,
confusing.
we've adapted their motion to recognizing the significance of Bill 37. We've absolutely, that's how I started this conversation, adapted theirs based on their resolution and their wording on an inclusive process with their council. If council does not want to be included and have a resolution to have the bill come back to us, the draft, that's fine. I'm bringing it to our council.
Mayor Christian, just it doesn't say that it's our resolution. It says it's the city of Winnipeg's resolution. So before I vote on something, I want to see that it's our resolution, not the city of Winnipeg's resolution, because we're only mentioned in the last two paragraphs. So this should be the arm of West St. Paul's resolution, not the city of Winnipeg's resolution. And then everything here is all city of Winnipeg, city of Winnipeg, city of Winnipeg, and then we're mentioned in the last two paragraphs. So we're going to vote on something. Let's have it be accurate and that it's correct, because the way this is being thrown together very quickly and very. I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, but I think that we have to kind of do this right, and then we can have a vote on it, because I'm reading it as you're talking and I'm trying to absorb it, but I see that this is like half of City Winnipeg and half of us. And it looks like to me when I read it as well, this is sort of it looks like it's three municipalities kind of getting together on this resolution: Winnipeg, Selkirk, and West St. Paul. Is that what's happening here? That the three of us are going to kind of move this resolution forward to WMR? Because that's what it says in that one of the paragraphs.
Yeah, City of Winnipeg's resolution reads that we've raised concerns and so has Selkirk. That's what their resolution reads. I did not speak to Mayor Bowman about the writing of his resolution. He quoted us because we took a leadership position on this. because we
Okay.
suspended our participation and influenced other municipalities that have said, I would sure like my council to be able to vote on this and have a say.
I think we need a resolution that speaks to us, not to them. And I think we need our resolution. And our resolution should be written from our perspective rather than from City of Winnipeg's perspective. And I mean, some of these elements could be put in there, but I think we're rushing this. And I'd like, if you want to call a special meeting and vote on this, that's one thing, but I feel kind of, and I don't mean to be rude or disrespectful in any way. I feel kind of blindsided at this point, and I don't feel like I could vote on the resolution that's in front of me because it isn't really our resolution.
Thank you
So,
for your feedback, Councillor Kleiber.
yeah, sorry about that.
Thank you. Councillor Bichetti, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, the way you started this was you were saying that we are endorsing the City of Winnipeg's resolution. We didn't say we're making our own resolution. We're putting that we're in favor of what they're saying and we're supporting them.
Yep.
So at this point, we've said everything we need to. I'll make a motion to accept this resolution and let's just see where it goes from there. Otherwise, it gets into the next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hold it. That's not what I understood at all.
I'm making a motion.
So
Okay,
Councillor
I
Bichetti's-
understand. Okay, I understood, just before we do anything
Sure.
here, I understood that we weren't just supporting City of Winnipeg, we were making our own resolution. Now, is that wrong now?
What I read, I'm just going by what I read, the same as you're doing. So I'm putting the two of them together.
Don't you want to be clear about what we're voting on? I thought we were voting on our own resolution. Now you're saying, no, we're just supporting the City of Winnipeg's resolution.
We're endorsing their resolution as it applies to West St. Paul as well. And so it's been tweaked. We're endorsing their resolution. They've written it. We've tweaked that to adapt to West St. Paul, that not only does the City of Winnipeg want their councillors to have input, but we would also like our council to have input too. So I understand that. Okay, so I have Councillor Kleiber's not wanting to deal with it tonight. Councillor Link is not wanting to deal with it tonight.
Well, it's not clear. It's just not.
That's
clear enough.
okay. Yeah, and I respect that. And Councillor Bichetti is wanting to deal with it tonight and vote on it. Councillor Prague, are you okay to vote on this tonight as is, having looked at it?
Yes, I looked, I read it out, it's on it. I requested it for it to be on the screen. It's there. I'm ready to vote on it.
I am ready to vote on this as well. So I have Councillor Bichetti who's moved a resolution to move forward on it. Do I have a seconder to second the motion? Councillor Prague. Any further discussion then on it? I understand there's opposing views. I understand and respect that. Councillor Link, go ahead.
I can't even see it because there are four screens on the right-hand side. I can't read it all. So,
Move
sorry.
your screen over.
Well, I'm not going to read it now. I had the chance. I couldn't read it. No, I'm not ready. Thank you.
I'm not necessarily, I'm just going to, for the record, say I'm not necessarily opposed to this. It's just,
Yes, exactly.
I'm having trouble with this coming as quickly as it is and really not being able to work through it. And it isn't our resolution. I'm confused. But
Thank you. So having input from everyone and a mover and a seconder, I will call for the question. All those in favor?
Recorded vote, please.
Sure, recorded vote. All those in favor? Opposed?
I abstain.
Thank you. Councillor Kleiber.
I didn't hear what Councillor Kleiber said.
I abstain for the reason that the resolution isn't clear as to what we're supporting or not supporting or who we're supporting. And I would prefer a West St. Paul resolution rather than a City of Winnipeg resolution. And I do support bringing things back to council. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We are on item 14.3, the Stonewall AMM Eastern District collaboration. And just to clarify, that's the AMM Interlake District collaboration letter. that they sent out. So as everybody knows, they had a meeting on, sorry, what day was our meeting, guys? I just want to look at that. The 26th.
Yesterday?
Was that yesterday already?
Yeah, because I was at the dentist.
Okay, yesterday. Thank you. That feels like 2 days ago. Yeah, it was yesterday and it feels like a week. So we had this meeting yesterday. I think the letter says they had 60% of the participants in the participating municipalities in the Interlake District respond and send them something. We did not. We did not send back a resolution to participate, as you all know. So the three of us, Councillor Link, Councillor Prague, and I attended this meeting where there was no agenda, but they wanted to have an informal discussion. And then as part of the informal discussion of moving forward, the intent of this group is to meet once, twice or three times a year to talk about issues so that they're not just meeting once a year at the AMM Interlake District meetings. So there was discussion about communities, their rinks, their curling clubs, and how other communities are managing during COVID. And then a chair and a vice chair and a secretary were elected. I was nominated for vice chair. So council knows, texts were sent to me that, would you like to be nominated for chair or vice chair? I replied to text, no, I do not want to be nominated. We don't have a resolution of council to even participate in this group at this point. But I was nominated for chair. There was a seconder. And as Councillor Prague and Councillor Link know, there wasn't even a vote. It was the question of, is anybody against this? And that's how I was elected as vice chair of this group. So we'll have some council discussion here on whether we are participating in this group. If it is the will of council not to participate in this group, I will obviously withdraw the appointment of vice chair for this group. I think with some organization, there's some potential. I know the concern of council and us not participating initially was that we have the Association of Rural Municipalities where we meet for dinner and hear guest speakers. And without any clarity of what this group was going to be, we had concerns that we don't need to have another guest speaker group that we're attending. If this is once or twice a year and 60% of the Interlake municipalities are participating, it's very challenging for us not to participate. If their discussion is about resolutions and they can hone in an agenda and have some meaningful conversation prior to June about resolutions that come forward and issues in the region, there's potential here to work positively with our neighbors. But I'll go around the table and see what council thoughts are on this. I'll start with Councillor Link. Your thoughts on this?
Would you mind starting? I sent you emails, Councillor Prague and Councillor and Mayor, and I think I expressed my. I was completely flabbergasted at this meeting.
All of us. Yeah.
Let's hear what other people have to say, and I'll drag out my email.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Prague, go ahead. You were at the meeting as well.
Well, I know it was done informally and things like that, but like once or twice a year, and I see the benefits of this. Like we saw what's happening with the province. Some people know they're doing different things with ice rinks. They were spoken about. In this area, they're not opening, period. In this area, they're opening. So everybody is wishy-washy what they're doing. There's not uniformity in it. So by all of this, this whole new region getting together is able to share ideas and work together. Another idea, they were talking about fiber optics and things like that. If we all get together and work towards getting fiber optics, coming to the areas where Councillor Kleiber lives and things like that, would be beneficial, and we can work towards it. I can see benefits in it. It's not a place where you go to have lunch or supper or chit chat. It's very formal. They just got the board set up And let's move on and see 1 or 2 meetings a year, and they can share their concerns. At least we have exchange of emails, correspondence coming back and forth, so we know what the surrounding municipalities are doing. In cases of crisis, we can still communicate and work together towards one resolution. It's towards the betterment of Manitoba, because all of us are in the province of Manitoba. So that's my few words on it.
Thank you, Councillor Prague. Councillor Bichetti, what are your thoughts on the group and our participation?
I wasn't at the meeting. I'm just going by this letter here, and I'm looking at the municipalities that are in support. I agree if it was once or twice a year, because if you look at the group we're part of, ARM, it's around the city of Winnipeg, South End, North End. If you're looking at the list of participants in this group, which involve the north side of Winnipeg, and it's not going to hurt to be in there. A lot of our neighboring municipalities are in there. I'd agree if it was once or twice a year, but not a another monthly meeting to discuss with this. So if they wanted something like that, they should have just joined our ARM association, which most of those groups are part of.
Thank you. Councillor Kleiber, your thoughts on the group?
Well, I looked at the letter as well, and thank you, Councillor Bichetti, for bringing up those points. I tend to agree with you. Our neighboring municipalities aren't really in there. So St. Andrews isn't in there, East St. Paul's not in there, Springfield's not in there, Rosser's not in there. And those are all of our, direct municipalities that we have a lot in common with. So I'm not sure what we have in common with Gimli. I'm not sure what we have in common with Hecla. It seems that they have their own set of issues that are really separate from us, because from what I understand, they close community clubs and rinks, and it's all meshed in one, whereas we have different, we're part of Winnipeg Metro, so we come under different even jurisdiction under the province as far as COVID is concerned. So I'm not sure what the commonality is with all of these other jurisdictions. So I guess the question would be, what benefit would we receive from it when we have AMM, we have ARM, we have Winnipeg Metro, we have RRPD, we have these connections with our neighbors already. And I sort of see this as much more rural, and we are a combination really of urban and rural. Much more urban than we are rural at this point. So I'm not seeing the benefit here. I don't know. People want to get together for a coffee now and then have a chat. That's one thing. And if you want to get together with, a mayor or two because they want to have a chat with you, then those are kinds of things we do at AMM conventions. Those are the kinds of things that we do at ARM. So we do have opportunity for those things. I'm not really in favor of this because I don't see that there's going to be a direct benefit to us. I would say if there was an organization that put the absolute contact people that are right next to us together in a group, that would make sense to me. Like St. Andrews, Springfield, East St. Paul, Rosser. Those kinds of people, those are the people that are very similar to us. So that's my input. Take it or leave it.
No, appreciate the input. On East St. Paul, because initially that was my thoughts too. Where is East St. Paul and where is Springfield? They're not part of the Interlake AMM district. So this group is modeled off of our AMM Interlake district group that we're part of and that we meet with every June. So we see this group every June and we vote on our resolutions that come out of the Interlake district. And we voted as a municipality for Kelly Cook from Selkirk and Cheryl Smith from St. Laurent to represent us on the Interlake district group. So that's why East St. Paul and Springfield aren't part of this either, because they're not part of the Interlake district, right?
So could I ask a question then? What AMM business was discussed at the meeting then? That would be of concern to us.
None, but that's the thoughts of the chairperson. Mayor Johansson was nominated as the chair. And Kelly Cook and Cheryl Smith sat in on that meeting and said, I think it would be valuable if we heard what our members in the Interlake District had to say for us to take forward to AMM to then lobby the government. So if this is organized correctly, and it's not just chit chat, but there's actually an agenda moving forward, and it is just once or twice a year, there's a potential to say, do we all agree that a freeze in funding from the province is not acceptable? Great, what's come out of our Interlake group is this, and Kelly and Cheryl, we want you to push that at AMM, or our chairperson sends that message directly from the group to the province. And so there
Okay.
could be a potential for here to find commonality. Our communities are very different in many ways.
Yeah.
But are there higher level things where downloading of costs is not okay for any of us on Dutch Elm, on, right, what's the funding model? So if we can keep this group at kind of a higher level of the things that we have in common, we might be able to have an impact on lobbying.
So should we maybe have them put together some terms of organization before we start heading
Well,
down the path?
Funny you should ask, because that's what they're expecting the chair and the vice chair to do.
Well, you're going to do it.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but that, and the secretary is from Fisher Branch. So the first thing that Mayor Johansson, the chair, is doing is naming the group, getting some terms of reference from other similar organizations, and then having an agenda for future meetings to really focus this group, so it isn't just a chit chat, that there's actually some discussion of things that are
And
relevant.
so in light of what you just said with 2050, how would our council work with that group? So would our council members be invited to that group? Would we be discussing this with you ahead of time and then you would go to the meeting and represent us? Or how would that work? Do you know?
This group, these municipalities aren't part of Plan 2050. It's only the capital region.
No,
So-
I understand that. I'm just wondering how this is going to work. Are you going to represent us? Are we going to give ideas to you? Are you going to bring it back to council? Is there going to be a back and forth? Or like, we were all invited to attend on this one. I couldn't because I had to be at the dentist, but are we all going to be invited in the future, or how is it going to work?
I don't know. That hasn't been developed yet in terms of reference of, is there a representative or two from each community, or can anybody just jump on? There were CAOs at that meeting. There were councillors and mayors at that meeting. Is it just something that we all jump onto? That wasn't clarified at all.
So should we maybe wait until we know the terms of reference before we, I mean, if you're going to put them together, what is your thought on that? Are we all going to be invited, or is it just going to be one representative, or how do you feel about that?
And I don't want to participate as a vice chair unless I have a resolution from you guys. So I have a draft resolution that we can approve or not approve, but I don't want to become involved in this group if the will of council is no, you shouldn't. So that's part of why I think we have the potential to set up good terms of reference with input. If this
I'd like to see a terms of reference, because how can I vote if I'm voting to exclude myself? Like, I don't know if I'm going to be allowed to be at a meeting, right?
Yep.
So if I'm voting ahead, say, okay, yeah, go ahead with this group, but I don't know if I get to have any input into this group. It's kind of putting the cart before the horse. Do you know what I'm saying?
Great. Right now, your mayor is the co-chair, so we have a voice in this process. So if that's what you're wanting to see, absolutely, because,
So would you, as co-chair, then advocate for your council members to be there?
Absolutely. It's twice a year. So I think it was beneficial to have the CAOs on there and the council members on there. I think an agenda needs to be set up of what the discussion is, but in the same way
Terms of reference, yeah.
that you guys all attend AMM Interlake District meetings once a year, there's no reason why you shouldn't be included on a discussion of the Interlake District group.
Now,
at all.
just a I'm not going to say constitutional, but a procedural bylaw question. Because we've already approved our committees for the year, if we were to ask for indemnities on this, are we going to have to reopen our committees thing? Because we've already approved all of our committees and who's attending and who's not and all that stuff. So do we have to open up that bylaw? Is it a bylaw that we would have to reopen up and redo all that?
I don't believe so. Ms. Shaw wrote up a resolution for us that if we're in agreement, then we would all be authorized to participate. So going forward in the future, and I can have you clarify, Ms. Shaw, but the next time something is opened up in January, we can add this, but otherwise a resolution would authorize us to attend. Is that correct, Ms. Shaw?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's correct. So our appointments to all council committees are done by resolution. So we do at the big one, sort of to set out the committees for the year, but from time to time, as necessary, we can add or approve different members of councils to different committees as is required at the time.
Okay, and Mayor Christian, in our terms of reference, can we keep attendance to a Zoom call? Because if we have to suddenly go up to Gimli, or we suddenly have to go to the village of Donatar, or someplace else, that really runs up the costs and runs up the cost for our community as well. So maybe as part of the terms of reference, if we're all going to attend, that we attend by forms of electronic means. And I think that's a good thing, because then you probably have more participation, and it doesn't put everybody out for expenses as well.
That I can't say. That's stuff that would end up having to be approved by the group. I think Zoom has its benefits in terms of cost, but personally, I'm missing the contact and informal discussions that we have with members from other communities. A lot gets shared informally when you're sitting over a coffee. We learn about grant opportunities or things that people applied for and things that they're doing that add value to our communities. So I understand what you're saying in terms of the cost of driving to places, but I also see the value in the meetings that we've had. So we participate and we go to these things like ARM with our neighbors and take turns in each of the municipalities, because it gives us that opportunity to connect, to network, and to learn from each other. So my feelings are mixed on that. I understand what you're saying. Our costs always need to be reasonable. But
I'm just saying, I mean, it's a huge difference between and out of the indemnity is twice as much outside of the RM of West St. Paul than it is inside the RM of West St. Paul. And whereas, once the human touch comes back, we'll have lots of human interaction. I feel because this is, according to the letter, so spread out,
Yep.
As far as the communities are concerned, that in an effort to save costs for all communities, that we keep it, if it's only once or twice a year, keep it at a Zoom. That would be my recommendation, that just for these ones, we do all the other ones. We'll see these people at AMM. Right?
I can't speak to that. That has to be a group decision and a discussion of a group, right? So I can't.
And that's why I'm wondering if we make a decision to go forward, if we don't know what the terms are and what the expenses are, how do we go forward? So do we put the resolution as to go forward to investigate whether or not what our participation would be for this? Like maybe a sort of pre I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
I do. It gets tricky in terms of we'll collaborate with you, but there's no way I'm driving to your community. It is kind of dicey to say. So if we want to collaborate and we should be flattered in a sense. They want West St. Paul. They want us to participate and to have, they've asked us to be part of this group, and 60% of the municipalities have said, yeah, let's try and work together. We all need each other's help to move forward. So it's kind of a fine line of saying, we respect you guys as neighbors and municipalities. We want to participate with you. We want to meet and collaborate with you. But as a council, we're not going to participate in this group if I have to drive to your community. I can't.
I think we have to be fair, because if it was our neighbors, it wouldn't be very far. Some of these people are not our neighbors. They're up in Gimli and Riverton. I mean, they're up 2 hours away from us. So they're quite a ways away from us. They're not really our neighbors. They might be part of the Interlake AMM, but they're not necessarily our neighbors. So I think we have to be very careful with that, saying they're our neighbors. But, as you know, I'm a person that likes to save the taxpayer money. And if we can do so and participate, I'm all for it.
Thank you, Councillor Kleiber. Councillor Link, you've had your hand up. Go ahead.
I probably am going to say what Councillor Kleiber said in a different way. I'm not so convinced that this group is not going to be very redundant. Now, Mayor Hines' initial letter in October, he hinted that there was something he hinted, and maybe I'm interpreting this incorrectly, but I don't know. But anyway, to me, he was hinting that something about the resolution process wasn't maybe quite right. Maybe there were gaps. So I was thinking, well, when I attend this meeting, I'm going to hear about how some of these gaps could be filled. There wasn't any talk, and the issue of resolutions also came up in his second letter. So there seemed to be quite a concern about, say, how resolutions were handled. Now, I didn't feel that it was appropriate to ask straightforward questions like that the way the meeting went, but I probably should have. But anyway, I don't know if there was consultation with AMM reps, Cheryl and Kelly, before, and whether they were whether Mayor Hines expressed his concern to them or not. I don't have much experience, but I haven't heard anybody complain about the resolution process, the way AMM handles it. They're very organized. There is opportunity at the June meetings for the Interlake representatives to look at the resolutions and to decide whether or not they support them or not. And then they get vetted by the AMM, right? I didn't hear anything specific about how that process could be improved. And then after the election, the conversation got into fiber optics and how Metro had, the Metro group had, John Q, I guess, not Metro, but John Q had let them down somehow, that Hydro hadn't cooperated with what they said. And so they weren't getting the services delivered, and they thought they would be getting them delivered. You know, they should have been already in place. So then there was talk about, going with satellites services. So they've kind of got perhaps a different slate of problems than we have. And also, yes, we all have ice rinks, but we don't have ice plants. Up there in the large area, they've got ice plants that they had to shut down at the beginning of the year. They didn't even open them because they didn't want to pay the electricity bills. They didn't want to pay ice makers. They didn't want to have to pay to heat the building, and so on and so forth. I didn't get the idea that our interests overlapped. I mean, to a point, but they seem to be pretty unique. We do seem to have more in common with the municipalities around the city. In fact, it was noted that Francis Smee of the Reeve of, is it Rosser? She sent her regrets because she felt that her municipality's interests were much more akin to that of the city's interests. I think for a group of experienced people who have been in council for many years, this shouldn't have evolved the way it did. I think there should have been a much better organization to this meeting. And to me, it doesn't bode well for the future for this group. I'm concerned about redundancy, and as Councillor Kleiber said, we're going to have to pay. This is another organization that we will probably end up supporting financially as well. And I have a lot of question marks.
Thank you, Councillor. I think the point about costs and having everybody attend, and I can see a couple of council members are not happy with this organization or supportive. And I'm wondering if maybe a resolution should read just 2 members of council represent the RM. I think those are excellent points about costs. And if councillors are raising concerns about the value, maybe mayor and 1 member of council goes. And if they do end up having these meetings in person, and I hear a couple of councillors saying, I don't see the value in this, that could be a compromise in terms of saving money, that mayor and 1 member of council is authorized to attend. That would save 3 other council members from attending, and we rotate it the way we do other committees. I certainly don't want people going to things with not finding value, and I think some good points were raised about costs. Absolutely. Councillor Kleiber?
Good point. So I've heard a couple of different numbers, no more than twice a year, no more than 4 times a year. How do we know how many times a year it's going to be? Like, because we have no terms of reference, we could say, well, it's only going to be twice a year. What if it ends up being 12 times a year, every month? So that's where, unless you want to amend the resolution to read that it's no more than twice a year.
We don't know, but what we've been told is 2 to 3 times a year. And so I trust that the groups that were on there that said, yes, we should meet 2 or 3 times a year max, that was their thought on it. It's hard to say.
Can we put that in the resolution then? No more than 2 to 3 times per year?
Well, I'll certainly be advocating for that. I don't want to put it in a resolution and have this come back to council if they end up saying, let's meet once a year.
Okay, but then if we say no more than 2 to 3 times a year, then that encapsulates the 1 time a year.
Right. What do I do if I'm appointed as vice chair and I'm supposed to help write the terms of reference that we keep referencing?
Then you put in there that no more than twice a year.
Yeah,
you can
those would have to be written.
Yeah, you can put those terms of reference in that we discussed, right? You could put in that there was Zoom. We could put in that, you could put in all those terms of references because you're the one that's writing it.
Right, but I'm going to have meetings in order to be writing that. So if the entire group meets once or twice as vice chair, if that is the will of council, then I'm going to also be having to have meetings to set the agenda for the twice a meeting. So to put in a number is challenging because if they've appointed me vice chair and the group accepts that we're participating, I'm now going to have to meet with the chair and the secretary to actually create terms of reference to bring to this group.
So the secretary is where? In Fisher Branch?
Yeah.
So how are you going to meet? Are you going to go?
That's going to be Zoom, yeah.
So you're going to meet through Zoom probably, right?
I think we're getting into really the logistics of it. I mean, we all agree that we like to keep costs low. We're one of the lowest paid municipalities in the region in terms of indemnity. So yeah, but I don't think that's an issue.
But we kind of have to talk about logistics because you're asking us to vote on joining a group that has no terms of reference. And so when you're looking at the bigger picture, you do have to look at those things. When you're joining a group, you have to look at the cost. You have to look at the cost to municipality and the benefit to municipality.
And I understand that 2 members of council don't see a benefit in it, and I agree. And I'm going to keep going around the table so that everybody gets an opportunity to speak on this.
Okay, actually, though, are you saying that I don't see a benefit in it?
You said, I don't see the value in this, and I respect that that's your opinion. I don't see the value for our municipality. We don't have anything in common with these municipalities. You said we're more of an urban than a rural municipality, and I don't see the benefit in participating. And I respect that that's your opinion. I totally respect that.
If I said that,
yeah,
I said that, that's fine. That is just my opinion because we do have other organizations that are much more in our proximity that we have more in common with.
I just don't want to keep going in circles. I understand and want to get everybody's opinion, and so we, so that we move on.
No, I understand that, and I'm just saying that it's difficult to vote on something when we don't know what we're voting really on.
voting on whether or not we participate in this group based on the asks that we've had from other communities to participate in this group. Ms. Shaw, can I get you to pull up the resolution, and Councillor Link, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm glad you're talking about voting because that was an issue for me at this meeting. I was not sent to that meeting. I didn't go to that meeting as an appointed representative of my council. Therefore, I decided that I had no right to vote for anybody or anything. One person can't make decisions, or even three people who went to a meeting couldn't make decisions for their council. That is just not right. Am I incorrect on that? Like how even the people who were at that meeting, had they been appointed to go as representatives? Had their mayors gone as representatives of their council? I read in Mayor Johansson's letter about Metro. Let me find it. He says in his letter, heads of councils are only one member of an elected council, and they cannot be delegated the power to make a decision of council. And that's kind of what happened all over the place at that meeting. I'm questioning what went on in that meeting in terms of what is acceptable and what is not. I've been slapped on the wrist for making a decision that I had no right to make. And I came to the conclusion after several months, my God, they were absolutely right. I shouldn't have done that. And here I saw all these elected officials with many years of experience, and I'm wondering, were they there with the authority of their council? Because I sure as heck wasn't, and I don't think any of us were. I was surprised how that sort of fell together.
Grassroots.
Yeah, yep. You know, grassroots group trying to say it would be great to figure out how we work together and get along. So we've got a resolution that's come back to council. If we want to participate in this group, how does this work? How do you?
We're already participating.
Well, and I'm not going forward and participating until I get a resolution of what's happening here, because we accepted their letter as information. We attended their meeting to see what this was about because we work with our neighbors, and so this is where we're at. Councillor Prague, I saw your hand up. Go ahead.
Well, let me address the indemnity. If the mayor is sitting there as a representative, herself there can represent us and bring it back to council, if that's the problem there. So, or if she can go, get an alternate to go. So that will solve, or as Councillor Kleiber said, get a representative. Elect somebody to go or rotate it on a rotating basis so we don't spend that kind of money. I fully understand her. Another thing, these are the municipalities that want us in. They look up to us as a growing municipality. They need us. They look up to Selkirk, West St. Paul, all these municipalities moving up. And one day, when we do need help for provincial resolutions, we'll turn to these same municipalities and ask for help. Because working as a group, you carry a more powerful voice as a group, individual, than an individual municipality. If you have all these municipalities together with you, going towards a provincial resolution, you have more power. Power to the people. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Councillor Bichetti, go ahead.
I think we should just put it as two members, the mayor and one member of council, and bring it back. And that's it. It's just kind of difficult going out to these meetings way out in the middle of wherever it would be, sending one person. I personally, Councillor Link and myself have ended up out in the middle of nowhere during some of these meetings in a late evening in the winter. So it's just safer, and I think it'd be better to do it that way. So
Thank you. Councillor Pereg and then Councillor Link. Go ahead.
One more suggestion Councillor Kleiber brought up. 2 to 3 meetings per year. And I kind of agree with her there. You know, if we can nail down a figure between 2 or 3 meetings, not monthly meetings, you know, it'd be more beneficial. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Link, go ahead.
Yep, thanks again, Councillor Bracetti, because I wouldn't have got home unless you would have jumped my car that night. Anyway, I do feel it's redundant. I'm sorry, Councillor Parag, but we get the opportunity to be involved with this group of people at AMM in the June district meetings where we talk about resolutions. And that sort of seemed to be the, well, in the letters, it was expressed as a concern, although at that meeting it didn't. But we do have the June district meetings. Perhaps we should get some feedback from AMM, the group that we already belong to, as to the value that they see, a unique value in this group. Otherwise, I'm wondering of the value.
Thank you.
I'm not convinced.
Councillor Pereg, go ahead.
What did I do there? Hang on.
You're on. Yep.
At least we saw there were AMM representatives there. Yeah. There were AMM representatives sitting in this meeting. They wouldn't have been there if this was some fly-by-night operation. They were there to participate. It's not a fly-by-night operation or something they want to establish. This is no fly-by-night. It was discussed. The only problem, it was done informally. That's my only thing today. It was done quite informally.
Yeah, it was a rocky first meeting informally for sure. Based on the feedback, I see that Ms. Shaw is changing the resolution a bit here, but I would even suggest changing it to be it resolved that the mayor and I would say and Deputy Mayor Pereg, because he's passionate about this group, to attend with me in the first year if council is agreeable. Mayor and Deputy Mayor Deputy Mayor Pereg be authorized to participate in the AMM Interlake District Collaboration Group up to a maximum of 3 meetings in 2021. That's Councillor Pereg you had mentioned. Is that, go ahead, Councillor Pereg, and then Councillor Kleiber. Go ahead, Councillor Pereg. Oh, you're still on mute.
I like this to be done on a rotation basis. So everybody have an opportunity.
Agree.
It's not just the deputy. I want each and every councillor to be there to see, because if they are not there, they don't know the benefits. If I tell them this is what happened, they wouldn't get the full picture. But if they are there and meet the people, they will change their views and even give their own ideas to make it better. And it's expanding these new councillors, their experience. And I very much like them to go rotate it.
I think if we're going to join, that we not designate a deputy mayor, that we designate a member of council, which could be the deputy mayor, depending on what you choose.
Exactly, on a rotation basis. Sorry, Madam Mayor, I shouldn't have butted it. I'm very sorry.
I think if we treat it as a committee appointment and we each rotate, I think it's too hard to put out and say who wants to attend and have everybody argue about it. I think if Councillor Pereg starts attending first, and then we bring it forward when we do committees, and we're going to have this added, if it's the will of council, to the committee appointments in January, then it'll be 2 members that are selected each year to be part of it.
But the way you're wording it is going to be indefinite.
No, we'd have to bring this forward as part of the committees, but this is for 2021. So for 2021, Councillor Deputy Mayor Pereg and I will attend this representing West St. Paul. And when it comes forward and is added to the committee appointments in January 2022, it'll be listed like every other committee appointment, and 2 members of council will be selected for 2022.
Well, then you have to put that very specifically in there because that's not the way that it reads.
It's only for
what-
2021.
But it doesn't say that. All it
says
says,
2021.
Nope.
It says the year 2021 twice.
it says up to meetings for 2021, but it doesn't say it's just for 2021. It just says for this year, for 2021, 3 meetings, but doesn't say that you're going to rotate the positions.
I'm going to rotate the positions.
Then you have to put that in there. Because this resolution is going to be the terms that you have forever. You can't just say, well, I'll do it this year, this resolution, next year I'll do that resolution.
Ms.
Better
Shaw,
if you keep it very generic, because if you keep it generic, then you can appoint whoever you want.
yeah, every year we do appoint who we want and we vote on it.
It should be
Right,
done
so
with
that's
the
why I put it as a
appointments.
council member. Keep it generic.
When we do our annual appointments, it should be, you know, how we have our chart of appointments. This
Yeah,
should be included in it for 2022. So if
Yeah.
it's on here for the year 2021, the MLO will put it in that chart for 2022.
right. But what I'm saying, Mr. CAO, is if the resolution reads that deputy mayor is going to be that, then when you go to do the committees, then this will be the term, mayor and deputy mayor, rather than mayor and council member. If we
Okay,
keep it generic.
Let's change it then to mayor and councillor Parag, so that the deputy position is not included in there, that it's councillor Parag. And when it comes forward in 2022, another councillor will be named to do that, and it's not the position.
Okay, well, then you need, okay. So what I'm trying to get at here is that we're not locked into terms of who's
We're
going.
not locked into terms. It's a resolution.
It's a resolution for the first time for the terms of us joining this. So what I'm saying is if you're going to do it this way, then you need to be very specific and say, this is only, these people will only be attending in the year 2021, and that this will be rotated for the following year. That way it's really clear and you don't have to go back and keep doing resolutions.
We will have to do a new resolution as part of the committee selections. Yeah. Ms. Shaw, do you have any suggestions or concerns about wording for this? I know we're going to put this on the committee list, that's something that I've heard council say. And so it will go on the list of committees, but do you have any suggestions?
That's right. So this will be the resolution to the end of 2021, and the group will be included in the general appointment resolution for 2022. And at that point, we adjust who would be a member, if there would be a change or not.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw.
Aye.
Councillor Bichetti and then Councillor Link. Councillor Bichetti.
Just put the mayor and 1 member of council for 2021 will be Councillor Prague, and get this over with. We've talked half an hour about 2 people we're all agreeing to being on here, but we're going to end up at, you know, an extension for this meeting at this point. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, that's a good point. I like the way you worded that. I'm all for that.
How would we like to be wording that?
That the mayor and a member of council being Mayor Christian and Councillor Parag. So just add, be it resolved that the mayor and a member of council being Mayor Christian and Councillor Parag. No. Be authorized to pretend for the year 2020, 2021, up to a maximum of 3 meetings in the year. For 2021. Attend up to a maximum meetings of 3 years, something like that. Yeah, there you go. That's perfect.
Okay, I'll read the resolution and we'll vote on the resolution. Be it
All right,
resolved.
no, please.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Link, go ahead.
The name of this group is even in question.
Yes.
The first letter from the mayor of Stonewall called it the AMM Interlake District Collaboration. However, his letter on January the 12th calls it AMM Eastern District Collaboration. And the use of AMM is questionable also because Mayor Hines stated twice that AMM did not initiate and was not initiating the meeting. They were there as observers only. They were not, I'm questioning whether it's the right thing to do to use AMM in their title, and he's actually called it two different things on two different occasions. And he was adamant that it wasn't an AMM initiative.
Yes, and Councillor Link, the name may be changed because the chair has ideas of changing the name to be more reflective, but we don't have a final name on this right now. This is what we have.
No.
So we don't know the name and we don't know the mandate.
Councillor Bichetti, go ahead.
That's what we've been discussing for half an hour, that the mandate and everything has to still get made on this group.
Yes,
Like there's nothing there.
we're joining an unknown.
No, we're creating a group to work with fellow municipalities that are in need of support. That's what we're working with.
Okay, let's just take a vote. Maybe we can move forward. We've discussed it to death, I think, eh?
I believe so.
Okay.
Be it resolved that the, recorded vote. Yes, thank you, Councillor Link. Be it resolved that the, Ms. Shaw, we've got to change the wording here. Be it resolved that the Christian and member of council. Thank you. Be it resolved that the mayor and a member of council, being Mayor Christian and Councillor Prague, be authorized to participate in the AMM Interlake District Collaboration Group for the year 2021 and attend up to a maximum of 3 meetings. And further, be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West St. Paul approve Mayor Christian's appointment as Vice Chair to the, maybe take out AMM, to the Interlake District Collaboration Group. And further, be it resolved that the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul assume all costs associated with Mayor Christian's responsibilities as Vice Chair of the AMM Interlake District, take away AMM, thank you, Interlake District Collaboration Group for the year 2021. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bichetti, seconded. Councillor Prague. I think we've had lots of discussion. Seeing
There's
no
one more AMM to remove, and that's in the town of Stonewall AMM Interlake District. One more.
Are we moving AMM because it's going to go to a general discussion then? Because I think originally.
This bold item is the title on the agenda. That's just for reference so that we know what page we're on.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. And I have a request for a recorded vote from Councillor Link, and I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. All right, we are almost at 8. I'm going to call for a recess for 15 minutes just so that we can go to the washroom and have a break. And so we will come back at 5 to 8 and keep going with the agenda. Thank you. right, great. Welcome back. Thanks, everybody. Had our break. We are down to item 15.1 on the agenda, annual reappointment of fire department membership, and I will read the resolution. Be it resolved that the following members are reappointed to the West St. Paul Fire Department, and the list is there as part of our resolution. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Bichetti. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. 15.2, appointment of tax sale manager. Be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul, pursuant to bylaw number 2011-1 of the RM of West St. Paul, approve Tax Service Inc. to conduct tax sales for the RM of West St. Paul. And further, pursuant to bylaw number 2011-01 of the RM of West St. Paul, Donna Zincube, General Manager of Tax Service Inc., be appointed Tax Sale Manager for the RM of West St. Paul. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Link. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. 15.3, we have our tax sale date. Whereas section 365(1) of the Municipal Act provides that council must offer for sale by auction every property in the municipality that has taxes in arrears for the designated year and meets the criteria for sale price by auction established by regulation. And whereas section 365(2) of the Municipal Act provides that council may designate the immediately preceding year or any earlier year as the year for which properties, the taxes in respect of which are in arrears for the year, must be offered for sale by auction to recover the tax arrears and cost. Now therefore be it resolved, the designated year for which properties in arrears be offered for sale by auction be 2020, meaning all properties with outstanding taxes from the year 2019 or prior. And further be it resolved that in accordance with section 363(1) of the Municipal Act, costs shall be the actual costs incurred for each parcel listed for the 2021 tax sale, plus administrative fees of $50 as set forth in the Manitoba Regulation 5097. And further be it resolved that the tax sale be held October 20th, 2021 at 2 p.m. That's a lot to get through. Can I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Kleiber, seconded Councillor Bichetti. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. We have 15.4, mutual aid memorandum of understanding with the RM of St. Clements. Be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul authorize the Mayor and CAO to enter into a mutual aid memorandum of understanding agreement with the Rural Municipality of St. Clements. Can I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Link. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. 15.5, Red River Planning District Board. Whereas the Red River Planning District held their annual general meeting on January 13th, 2020, at which time Mayor Christian was appointed as an executive committee member and deputy chairperson to the board. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul approve Mayor Christian's appointment as an executive committee member and deputy chairperson to the Red River Planning District Board. And further be it resolved that the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul assumes all costs associated with Mayor Christian's responsibilities on the Red River Planning District Board for the year 2021. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bichetti, seconded Councillor Link. Any discussion? Councillor Link, go ahead.
I'm wondering if we should include Deputy Mayor Parag in the resolution, because it is a new thing that the RM is having to pay for our representatives to Red River Planning District. Am I correct in that? That was a change from last year.
No, we already had a resolution for that.
We did? Okay. All right. That's fine then. Sorry.
Am I correct there, Mayor Christian?
Yes.
Yeah, we already did that. Yeah.
Okie dokie. Good. Thanks.
It's kind of unfortunate, and that was the board decision, and I took back that the will of our council was that the indemnities still stay part of the district, and that it comes out of the planning board. But the board voted that the indemnities be bumped back to the municipality. So it would have just been easier to raise our contribution fee and still pay indemnities out of Red River Planning, but each municipality pays for their members. So Councillor Bichetti, when he's out there, we pay for that, and now we're going to pay for my executive committee meetings and my role as vice chair. So go ahead, Councillor Link.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Were you not on the executive committee in the past? Yeah, right. So the only thing different, will you have another meeting just because you're chair or vice chair rather?
I
You
have no idea.
Okay,
I don't think it'll involve any more meetings. I can't see it, and
okay. Sorry.
no problem. All right, seeing and hearing. No,
Congratulations, by the way. I think I said that once, but congratulations again.
thank you. It was a surprise. I keep attending meetings where I'm nominated and elected as vice chair. I have no idea what's happening, but that's all right. Because we're not busy enough in wonderful West St. Paul. All right, thank you for the support. So no further discussion. I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. All right, 15.6, appointment of signing officers. Be it resolved that the Council of the Real Municipality of West St. Paul appoint the signing authority for the following. 1, General Accountant checks Mayor Christian or Deputy Mayor Stan Parag and Chief Administrative Officer Brent Olenek or Municipal Legislative Officer Lainey Shaw. 2, Payroll disbursements, any 2 of the following, Mayor Cheryl Christian or Deputy Mayor Stan Parag and Chief Administrative Officer Brent Olnick or Municipal Legislative Officer Lainey Shaw. 3, contract documents and agreements, Mayor Cheryl Christian or Deputy Mayor Stan Parag and Chief Administrative Officer Brent Olnick or Municipal Legislative Officer Lainey Shaw or Director of Finance Crystal Shahada or Acting Director of Finance Carol Rempel. The responsibility of signing authorities for the Chief Administrative Officer, Municipal Legislative Officer, Director of Finance, and Acting Director of Finance are set out in the Schedule B below. For the department head or his or her designate, be and hereby authorized or on and behalf of the RM of West St. Paul to sign departmental agreements, provided those agreements have already been approved in the budget process. Such agreements would include, but not limited to, facility rentals, service agreements, and equipment maintenance agreements. The entering of such agreements shall be reported to the Chief Administrative Officer through the monthly CAO report. The department head and his or her designate shall not have the authority to exceed his or her spending authority as outlined in his or her job description. All agreements exceeding said spending authority shall require the approval of council. 5, that the Sonoma Credit Union is the financial institution for the year 2021. Schedule B is listed below. Municipal legislative officers. So, Ms. Shaw, do I need to read out Schedule B as I'm reading this resolution?
No, Madam Mayor, you do not.
Perfect. Thank you. So can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Kleiber, seconded Councillor Prag. Any discussion?
I don't blame you for not wanting to read Schedule B.
Wow. That was the most full enough. Councillor Link, go ahead.
Will council be provided with the spending authority that is designated to those positions?
Mr. CEO, I don't believe so, but have we ever been provided in the past?
Is that possible?
But that's usually a double signature anyways, Councillor Link.
Yes,
So
yes, I recognize that. Yep.
it has to be both to sign, so nothing can really go by the unchecked.
I understand that.
This is housekeeping.
Amounts.
We've
Okay.
had
All right.
when you appoint a new deputy mayor, that the housekeeping is that their signature has to go on, one signature has to come on. We've also had someone leave on maternity leave from a staff that has signing authority, so the acting director of finance has to go on. So it's housekeeping. It's not something that we get into to start investigating and doing due diligence on. We would just say,
Okay.
yeah, it's
Okay.
housekeeping. Let's move
Okay.
forward.
It's housekeeping. All right. Thank you.
Any further questions? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. 15.7, we have finance, a COVID-19 impact update from our CAO on the impact in terms of costs that COVID has had on the RM of West St. Paul. Like many municipalities, we have had costs because of COVID and loss of revenue come in, and our CAO is going to break that down for us.
So we're still accumulating some of our.
You're still on mute.
Thank you. We're still accumulating some of our year end. The year end hasn't closed yet, but our related losses and expenses to COVID were $261,062.51. And I'll give you a couple of the higher amounts that were losses related to COVID. So at the Sonova Center, our rentals there, revenues were down $83,401.34. Our Sonova field rentals were down $1,905. Our investment income, there was a dramatic change in investment income right at the COVID. So our investment income, interest on money we have in the bank, is down $60,306. We have our overtime budget. There was added amounts of $8,197.11, and we are just over $10,000 in hardware and software additions now. So as you know, we had to make changes in hardware to make sure that we could have Zoom meetings, that we've had the right equipment. We've also, when this first happened, we had to buy microphones and a speaker, those type of things. So the things that we had to do to adjust for COVID, and you know, just and little things add up. I'll give you another one: revenue concessions. So every year when we have our canteen open for ball games and at the Sonova Center, which isn't that often, but it generates $812.11 in previous years that were down, right? We haven't been able to open the revenue. So all these add up. We're at about 261. I anticipate a little bit more, and we had some added value from the federal government, around $321,000. So it's basically looks like it's going to be offset for where we are.
Yeah, I think that's
Thank you,
what
Mr. CAO. I will just go around the council table and see if there are questions. I'll start at the opposite end this time. Councillor Prague, any questions to our CAO?
No questions, no questions.
Councillor Kleiber, any questions to the CAO?
No, I was just going to say, I thought that we had gotten a grant from the government for COVID-related expenses that should cover those losses, and you said that we did. So I thought the amount was higher. Was it only 321? Yeah. Well, at least it offsets it, because it could be considered a loss. So thankful for that.
That's what it's there for. So,
yeah, for sure. No, good. Thank you.
Is, you know, it's going to come in close to what was going on.
Yeah, thanks for the update.
Councillor Bichetti, any questions, comments for the CAO?
Oh, thanks for the update.
Thank you. Councillor Link, any questions for the CAO?
Were there offsets in like some savings? Like we didn't attend FCM, and we haven't had travel expenses, and it's only recently that I think people have begun to attend online conferences and so on. So there would have been, and I think we had a layoff and have this sort of the opposite ends of the spectrum been calculated as to costs that we didn't have because of the situation?
Yeah, there's costs we didn't have, but what I'm reporting on are revenue-related losses and expenses.
So in the future, are you going to sort of do the balancing of
When it comes to the year-end statement, that like right now they're running year-end, there's actually still companies that are doing their year-ends and submitting bills to us. So when we have our year-end, we'll do our financial statement and we'll go through the highs and lows of the year.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Prague, go ahead.
Yeah, just a few questions, CEO. Like these are for the plexiglass and so for the front counter, and all of these are taken into this. Okay, okay. Cleaning supplies, etc.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for the update. That's great. All right, 15.8 council meeting live stream. There was a conversation, emails. Councillor Bichetti had sent an email on January 13th, just asking about our access to Zoom meetings, if we were all able to access by video, and a brief conversation back and forth with Councillor Kleiber about access and video problems. And I had finished that email by saying that we would add to a regular meeting of council on the 28th for further discussion. I think we're all doing okay and able to get access. Councillor Kleiber's come into the fire hall to deal with technological issues. One of the things I had mentioned is if we need to discuss as a council further IT support for us. But I think we're doing okay. We can go around and talk about that. Councillor Kleiber, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things I mentioned to all of you is what my ward goes through all the time. And that is because we're not a high density ward, we're farms and we're large acreages. The service providers in the area do not want to put any kind of fiber optics down because it's a loss for them. You know, they're putting a very expensive fiber optics down and they're not getting too much for it. For example, on my street up to Blackdale Road, there's only 5 houses. So I can understand their rationale. Having said that, Seven Oaks School Division has a dedicated fiber line right in my ditch, but I can't access it because it's dedicated. So across the street, they have Shaw. We don't. And this has been a complaint out on Fulshire Road. It's been a complaint all over the place. So just so that the public knows why I'm at the hall is because I have to share broadband with the entire community. So at night at 6 o'clock, everybody's watching Netflix, everybody's on their computer, and the broadband drops so badly that I can't get video and audio at the same time. So graciously, the RM has let me come into the fire hall by myself, and everything's cleaned after I leave. So I'm thankful for that. So thank you.
That's great. Yeah, absolutely. It's been challenging and we're definitely keep working to explore options for our residents to be able to deal with those issues. Speaking to Shaw and speaking to some of the others, but it's private companies and it's very challenging to run that infrastructure down. And I know some of our residents have spoken with Shaw directly and been quoted high quotes to try and run lines, and it's challenging, but we keep working at that. Absolutely. And it really highlights, I think, for our residents to know that in terms of some of the additional costs and hardships, Councillor Kleiber's coming down and sitting in a fire hall and trying to make it work to participate in meetings. Councillor Bichetti has paid and run hardline wires through his place to make sure that we stay on connected. We've upgraded to as high of a Shaw package as we can at my house to be able to participate and be able to have access. So even though it's easier to participate by Zoom and there's costs that we're saving for driving around in time, there are these additional costs and challenges. So it's I'm really proud of our council. We've done a great job in adapting. A lot of other councils have had challenges. They're still not open to the public for meetings. And we've done a great job with our meetings, having these live on YouTube and recorded. And so I'm really proud of what we've done to adapt under difficult circumstances. So good, good. All right, we have in-camera discussion now, 19.1. So I'll read the resolution to go in camera. Be it resolved that in accordance with section 152(3) of the Municipal Act, council do now move in camera to discuss legal matters and personnel. And be it further resolved that in accordance with section 83(1)(d) of the Municipal Act, any issues that are discussed are kept confidential until discussed at a regular meeting of council. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Link. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. All right, I will wait for Brian. All clear that we're not live streaming, that we truly are in camera. Just still waiting on notification from Brian.
Brian says yes now.
All right, we are live now. Thank you for waiting patiently, those of you who are waiting to see us come out of camera. We have a number of items for Rise and Report tonight. 19.3.1 Municipal Emergency Coordinator, and I will read the resolution. Be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul appoint Ken Azaransky as the Municipal Emergency Coordinator for a 3-year term effective January 6, 2021 to December 31st, 2023. And further be it resolved that the Mayor and Chief Administrative Officer be authorized to execute the Municipal Emergency Coordinator contract with Ken Azaransky. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Bichetti. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. All right, item 19.3.2, Ms. Shaw, can I have you read that resolution, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This will refer to the first council members code of conduct complaint that council discussed in camera. Whereas a complaint was filed under code of conduct for members of council bylaw 2020-10, and whereas the review of the code of conduct complaint against against Councillor Kleiber was recommended by the intake reviewer to be dismissed. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul affirms the decision of the intake reviewer to dismiss the complaint.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Any outside discussion? It was discussed in camera. I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is defeated. Ms. Shaw, I'll have you read the next one, 19.1.3.
You. Whereas a complaint was filed under Code of Conduct for members of Council Bylaw 2020-10, whereas the review of the Code of Conduct complaint against Mayor Christian was recommended by the intake reviewer to be dismissed. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul affirms the decision of the intake reviewer to dismiss the complaint.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. We've had discussion in camera on this, so I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. We have item now, sorry, we have 19.3.4. Personnel resolution, whereas the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul has received a complaint against personnel, and whereas Council has had the opportunity to review the matter, and whereas the complainant has withdrawn the complaint, now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul accept that the complaint has been withdrawn. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Link. We've had discussion in camera on the matter. I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. I have the resolution to adjourn the meeting for this evening. Be it resolved that this meeting of council be adjourned. Can I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bichetti, second by Councillor Parag. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Good night.
Good night.